First and foremost, thank you to each and every one of you who has chosen to listen to my Red Talk today. Because let's face it, that was one of the many choices that will make up what this day will fully be for you. I want to start by asking each of you, who do you want to be when you wake up in the morning? And are you confident leaving your home embracing that version of yourself, no matter where you are or what the day entails? If you think about it, we can actually come to the realization that, well, the autonomy of life is the ability to choose for yourself. One thing we get to choose each and every day is the mantra we want to live by. For me, says who is something that I say to myself to serve as a negativity blocker in my life. I realized that at an early age, who I wanted to be would be pivotal in protecting the evolution of Taylor. Now, we're only at the beginning, so you might be asking, how in the world am I going to protect the evolution of me? Don't worry, we'll get to that soon. If you had asked me just who I wanted to be a few years ago, I would have looked at you probably like a deer in headlights, which is strange because, well, the version of myself that I hope so many of you have encountered is a loud, energetic ball of light. But what would you say if I told you that was just the initial choice that I made each and every day? Let's take it back a bit. Sophomore year of high school. Oof. Yep, that's me. I don't know about you, but I was the epitome of a late bloomer. I wanted eagerly to be accepted. And while we had just moved from Kansas to New Jersey, and I'm sure you can already imagine the shock of the differences between the two states. It was a difficult time to adjust, but I knew there was a silver lining, or at least I had hoped so. You see, I didn't realize that even at the young age of 15, kids were already conditioned to pass judgment based on their own environments and what they deemed to be right and wrong. The American Psychological Association even published an article stating that children by the age of 5 make rapid and consistent character judgments of others just based off of facial features alone. So picture this: new school, new state, new surroundings. All I knew to be true were the values that my parents instilled in me. And majority of those revolved around my brothers and I being proud of who we were and without limits. Well, to my surprise, this would not always go over well with others. So one day, while I was waiting for the bus to pull up in front of the school, just so that I could go home for the day, I saw a group of girls I eagerly wanted to introduce myself to. So I walked up to them. Now, present-day Taylor would have been able to read body cues. But you know what they say, you do better when you know better. And I had no idea. Now, before we relive sophomore year with me, let's take a quick look at the psychology at work here. Maslow's hierarchy is a motivational theory that positions fundamental human needs as the building blocks that enable higher level ones. The way it works is that those lower level needs must be met first prior to higher needs being fulfilled. So high school me, I was striving for love and belonging amongst my peers. This means I was a long way away from self-actualization, or, as I put earlier, protecting the evolution of Taylor. So I said something along the lines of, "Hey, I'm Taylor, what's up?" One girl looked at me, and before I could even begin to show who I was, said, "Taylor? That's a white name for a black girl." And all I could say was, well, my mom actually named me Taylor so that I could have the best opportunity. You see, when someone sees my name on a resume, they don't know my race, my gender, or anything about me. All they see is the work. Because, well, that's what she had said all those years ago when I asked about my name. Of course, embarrassed, I let the comment go and proceeded to the bus. And I got to thinking, what gave them the right to pass judgment on me for something as small as my name? This was just the start of realizing that, well, the world can pass judgment. And if you're not okay with who you are, the cruelty can become a new division of your inner self that you never intended it to be. Even to this day, if I'm ever asked why I do what I do and operate the way in which I do, my response without hesitation is, I want to show my brothers that there is room for who they want to be in whatever sector of the world they want to be in. Because being able to learn and believe this was part of me accepting and embracing the inner me. And it started with instances like the story I just told. With every case, I learned a new way to embrace Taylor. Because I had two choices. I could believe without questioning what someone else had said about me, or I could filter the facts and become a new version of myself. So let's fast forward to present day, or really close at least. I joined Cardinal Group a little over 3 years ago, And when I arrived, I had an on-site team lead that had the pleasure of working with me and embraced the version of Taylor that I was at that very moment. They all took the time to coach and develop, and boy, did they have patience. As I journeyed through my career, that little girl who told me I was nothing more than my name kept rearing her head in different forms. Yet I was determined to stay true to the authentic Taylor no matter what. Let's take a second and ask yourself, have you ever considered the power of the stories we tell ourselves? And how often do you let someone else be the author of your own story? There were so many times in my life in which I had heard my presence was overwhelming or my voice was not polished enough for the rooms in which I wanted to walk into. Funny enough, when I became a traveler for Cardinal Group a few years ago, I heard the same grievances from our on-site teams. Not feeling like there was room for them to live in congruence with who they wanted to be and what they wanted to do. Now, you're probably asking yourself, Taylor, yes, we get you, but how? Well, let's take a dive into my 3 pillars and see the evolution of you. Most of us have heard the phrase, I can do bad all by myself, which, well, in theory is true, but why do bad when you can be great with others? You see, some use the phrase, it takes a village when speaking about their family unit. In our professional setting, we harp on networking. If you think about it, both are the same at the end of the day. That being, if you want to reach greatness, you can't shy away from building a village or from asking for help. The Taylor you see today, well, she wasn't the Taylor that started working with Cardinal. That Taylor was spicy. She thought she knew what she wanted and how to get there all on her own. This couldn't have been further from the truth. My on-site village was a group of women who literally snatched me under their wings and refused to let me stay the same each day. But this was just the start. After I was able to grasp and grow, I started to look into other areas of the company where I could gain support additionally. Asking for help is a big part of this first pillar. For me, I landed in one of our BRGs. At this point, I realized I could take what was poured into me and pour it into others. You know, like they say, you don't know the topic until you can teach it to someone else, right? Now, I'm by no means an expert. However, I do believe in paying forward what was paid to you. Joining mentorship programs, attending your team building events, and finding other ways to get involved are great examples of building your professional village. Now, with that comes everyone's favorite topic. Yep, that's right, feedback. Now, you might be thinking, why filter the facts? I know I said earlier that something will always be said about you, so why listen at all? Let's be real. There will always be someone to have something to say or saying something pertaining to you. However, don't take this as your get-out-of-jail-free card. I learned about Pareto's principle, also known as the 80-20 rule, which maintains that 80% of outcomes come from just 20% of causes. Well, I decided to shake it up a bit and adapt this into how I receive feedback as well. With anything that was said about me or brought to me, I always take it into consideration. 20% of feedback results in 80% of personal growth. The 80-20 rule allows you to prioritize the impact, in this case, the feedback. As we near my favorite part, if you only remember one piece of my message, let it be this. What you are empowers who you are. Let me let you in on a little secret. These mantras or pillars of mine are fluid, and change has been a necessary part of showing up as Taylor, even with my mantras. In order for this last pillar to ring true, you have to understand that everyone comes into the world with different opportunities. Know where you are, know where you want to get to, and how much work will it take to propel yourself to that very next level. Now, the fun part is the work is not constant. Reflecting on self, I chose to put in work I knew I would need to early on in multiple stages. This was to ensure that when I got to that next level, I would be free of conforming to a person that I'm not. As a child, I was taught early on these exact points. I knew I would need to work harder to be given the opportunity that I knew I would live up to. I would ensure that everything was perfect, and I realized that all of this was due to my ability to realize, yes, I'm different. We're all different. And that empowers you to tap into that inner you. So, my question to you all is this. Where in your life are you not being authentic? And what can you do to change that? The reality is that not a soul walking this green earth has the power to change you into something that you're not without you first giving permission. Stand firm in who you are and be open to evolution. I can tell you without a doubt, I will never stop choosing the version of Taylor that makes me most proud. Thank you.